This is Eugene Panrukevich on the laptop screen dock, and the name of the website is www.screensurgeons.com. Today we have a Lenovo ThinkPad L420 laptop computer with a cracked screen, and we're going to show you how to replace a cracked screen on a Lenovo ThinkPad L420 laptop computer. Before we do anything, we want to remove the battery to make the laptop safe to work on. And to do that, we flip the laptop over, slide the little lever on the battery to the left, and slide the battery out. So now the laptop is safe to work on. And also, sometimes there's some confusion about model numbers for Lenovo laptops. Sometimes you'll see it says type 7827-CTO. You can usually look up the model number from that number, but that's not the real model number. The real model number is on the lower right-hand side. It says L420, and the line of laptops is called a ThinkPad. So that'll help you find out the model number. Okay. In order to get to the screen with this laptop, as with most laptops, you have to remove the screen bezel from the front. And in order to remove the screen bezel, you need to remove 4 screws that are securing the screen bezel to the screen assembly, and they're hidden by some rubber covers. Okay, before we start, we're going to show you the tools that we need. We're going to need a small electronics screwdriver with a PH1 bit. PH stands for Phillips and 1 is the size. Just in case, we also have a smaller PH0 bit. We also have a small pair of tweezers to remove any screws that are stuck, and an X-Acto knife to remove the rubber plastic covers. So let's get started. We're going to use our X-Acto knife to remove the plastic covers that are securing the screen bezel, that are hiding the screws. Okay, there's 4 of them. And what I like to do with rubber covers is put them right next to the screw holes so that I don't lose them. And sometimes they're a little bit harder to remove. It needs stronger adhesive, but we can do it. So that's 3 and 4. Okay, once we remove the covers, we use our PH1 bit to remove the screws that are securing the bezel. 1 and 2. And for each step, for each set of screws, I keep them in a separate pile. And I keep the piles in the sequence in which I do the steps, so when I put the laptop back together, I can use the right screws and trace back what I did. Okay, so the 4 screws are out and they're in their own pile. So next we remove the screen bezel. And the way I like to do that is put my fingertips on the screen side and start lifting it up from the screen side, and it should start snapping off. So we go slowly, little by little. Sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's easy. And in this case it's a little bit harder. And we can do it. And for this one, it's once you snap a little bit off, sometimes it's easier to go from the other side. So we're just kind of work your way around and see what works. And so I kind of lifted it up from the bottom, and that seems to work. And then I kind of push it to the side, and that seems to work. And then I lift it up and push it to the back. So it's a little bit different for every laptop. So but you do some trial and error, and take your time with this step, because this is probably the hardest step, and even the same model laptop, each one's a little bit different how hard or how easy it is to snap it off. So the main thing is not to break the bezel. They're pretty sturdy, so just take your time on it and either try from the inside or try from the outside, and whatever works. And if he gets stuck on a part, just go to a different part and come back to the stuck part later. Okay, and next, once we remove the screen bezel, we see that the screen is mounted on two metal mounting brackets with screws on the side. Now, for most laptops, you have to do some extra work. You have to loosen some screws to get to the mounting screws on the side, but for this laptop, we can fairly easily get to these screws, and there's two screws on each side. So, one, and start a separate pile, and two. Okay, then we turn the laptop around and do the same thing. We remove the two screws on each side. One and two. When you do this, make sure that the screen is tilted back a little bit because when you remove the last screw, you don't want the screen to fall down on you. So once all the screws are removed, we gently tilt the screen forward, make sure it's not getting stuck on anything. And we see that there's a webcam cable that's not letting us move the screen down any further. And what we have to do is use our fingernails to remove the webcam connector, like so. And then we can lower it. Okay. Next what we do is we remove the video cable from the back of the screen. Okay, and it has some adhesive on the back, so we gently lift up the video cable, remove the adhesive, and finally we remove the connector. To do this, there's some adhesive tape on the top that we have to lift up, like so, and some adhesive on the back of the connector, and then we slide it out and it comes out. Before we go any further, I'm going to show you how to slide this connector back in. When you slide the connector back in, you'll feel two clicks when it's properly engaged. And let's get a close-up of what the connector looks like when it's properly engaged. So if we can get a good focus, hopefully. Okay, here's a good focus. Pause the video right there and make sure that there's no gap in the seam between the two sides of the connectors. The two sides of the connector should be totally flush with each other. So that's when you know when you have a good connection. Okay, next we're going to remove the connector again, and we're going to take a look at this. The first thing when we take a look at the screen is we look at the part number, and the part number for this screen is N140BGE-L11. Okay, this screen is a bit unusual in two ways. First one, it's from Chimei, C-H-A-M-E-I, Innolux, and their part numbers are a little bit confusing. There's 6 or 7 makers that make this screen. It's a very common screen, but the part number is confusing. The reason is if you just type in N140BGE, you will not always get the same screen. There's one that says -L41, and it's totally different. So you want a -L11. And make sure the screen looks like this. There's another variety of screen. It's called the slim screen, and it will not fit your computer. Okay. The other thing to notice is on this Lenovo, the screen has a matte finish, not a glossy finish. Most of the screens available have a matte finish. So if you insist on a matte finish, make sure that your screen has that. Otherwise, most likely, you'll get a glossy screen. And the other thing is, when you do get this screen in, most likely it will not have the same part number that you see here, but it should look like this. Okay, Screen Surgeons also has this screen available, and we will make sure that we will send the right screen to you. And what you do is you go to screensurgeons.com. Then on the bottom of the screen, you click on Buy a Screen. And then once you get to that page, there will be a short form for you to fill out. And there you'll give us your email address and the name of the model of the laptop. And then we'll reply with a link to the right screen. What you get with Screen Surgeons is that we have free email technical support when you install your screen. We also have a compatibility guarantee. That is, if we do send you the wrong screen, we'll replace it at no charge with the right screen. And also, we ship worldwide. We ship to most countries around the world. So you can do that during our checkout. All right, once you do have your new screen, you put the connector back in, as I showed you. And then put the screen up, and then make sure you reconnect the webcam cable. Mount the screen with the 2 mounting screws on each side. Then snap the bezel on, and then mount and put in the 4 screws that are holding the bezel in, and put the rubber pads, and you should be good to go. Overall, it's fairly simple to replace the screen on this laptop. You just need to make sure you have the right screen and the right finish on the surface of the screen. Okay, once again, my name is Eugene Panrutkovich. I'm the laptop screen doc, and the name of the website is www.screensurgeons.com. Thank you.